Big Joe, how's it going, man? Hey, be careful with her.
Funny thing is, it's going to be
Rob.
per employee. Well, I mean, not everybody probably saving that much because they don't drive as far, you know.
There you go.
Live very close by. I mean, like I said, 5 live about 35 miles out, and others close by. So, you know, not everybody 35 miles out. So.
No, that was actually Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
5 of them.
Not the Boys and Girls Club, but Big Brothers and Big
4 or
Sisters.
5 of them they go
Now, they used to have an office up in
to get them to work here. So.
no traffic, and then they had one in Bowman. I just think, you know, I bet I've had you know, but I said, I hope not. It could. Yeah, that was a great program, but you just there wasn't enough people volunteering.
That is such a
Oh, absolutely.
No, they'll go over the points. You have to be a CPA. There you go. To understand all of it. So they'll go over the important parts of it. So that's the
How are you?
main thing.
Family all right? Yeah, doing real well. My daughter in Lexington. Yeah, they bring them back. Yeah. They should make the times. I mean, we pay them. That goes back to last year. I mean, some of these. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost that. It's retroactive. So, yeah. Retroactive. Still, I haven't devoted time to think through it. If you need it.
I've never tried to lie.
No, I don't.
Sometimes I feel like
Similar to
don't have any of them.
Struggling all night.
started any of this.
right.
And he was talking about and I specifically, that's a good participation in the planning. I mean, good, the planning meeting. Because you were in the planning recreation department meeting.
Call the meeting to order. Everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Gaunts is going to lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for each person represented here and our families, Lord. Help us to make good, wise choices for the betterment of our community. Thank you for all that you do. Give us safe travel home tonight, and thank you for sending your son to die on the cross for us. In Christ's name.
I ask the clerk to give us a roll call.
Fidel,
Present.
Eubank,
Here.
Gaunts,
Yes, ma'am.
Gross,
Here.
Honeycutt,
Here.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes, ma'am.
Lowry,
Here.
Neal,
Here.
Norman,
Here.
Norris,
Here.
Trigg, Witcher.
Here.
All present.
First item on the agenda tonight, we've got, we've got the minutes from the last meeting in front of you first. Minutes from February the 11th. If you have no corrections or additions to those, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Patrick makes the motion to have a second from Norman. All those approved, signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes are approved, and we have a presentation from the 2017 and 18 audit from Taylor, Polson and Company. I guess probably we don't have a separate microphone. You want to move the podium up here, and I'll turn my microphone. Because we've got one over here we can move over there.
You said, I say,
Let's move that one over here to the podium.
you can sit here and I'll go ahead.
There you go.
Will they reach over to her?
There you go.
Oh, how nice. Thank you so much. Okay, we have completed our audit for the year ended June 30th, 2018. We've already met, as you probably read in the newspaper, briefly with the Finance Committee, or as many of them as could be there, a few days ago, and just hit the highlights with them and asked any questions that they might have, and tried to give. Some of them were new members, trying to give an understanding of the audit process and so forth. Our report is found on pages 6, 7, and 8. And the first page talks about management's responsibility and the auditor's responsibility under the standards under government accounting standards and under our auditing standards. And then on the next page, it says that we believe the evidence we've obtained in our audit is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinions. And in our opinion, based on our audit and the reports of other auditors, there are component units included in the city's report, but those, the electric plant board, the water company, and the airport, and those were audited by other auditors. And our opinion as it relates to those entities is based solely on the other auditors' reports. But our audit of the remainder of the city's financial statements, our opinion is that they're presented fairly in all material respects. The governmental activities, the aggregately, discretely presented component units, each major fund of the city, and the aggregate remaining fund information as of June 30th, and the changes in financial position for the year then ended, in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. That's a mouthful, but it means it's a clean opinion, fairly stated, and we don't have any qualifications to that opinion. There's an emphasis of matter paragraph this time in our report, which refers to a new accounting standard that the city's had to implement, accounting and financial reporting for post-employment benefits other than pensions. About 3 years ago, you may remember, we had to put the pension liability from the CERS plan on the city's books. This year, we had to follow with the OPEB, the insurance portion of that plan. And so the net position took a hit again this year. And so there's some required supplementary information, and the best part of that is in the very front, management's discussion and analysis. That's where the highlights of the financials can be found. And that begins on page 9 and goes through page 17. So that's like the abbreviated version of the whole rest of the financial statements. It gives you also some comparative information, which is not found in the basic financial statements. As far as that required supplementary information, we do not give an opinion on that because we do limited procedures. We make comparisons, we compare the information, the abbreviated information in there with the full financial statements, and inquire of management about the methods of preparing the information and so forth, but not enough evidence to give an opinion on that. And then there are some other supplementary information that is not required, but it's included in the city's report, non-major fund statements and other combining statements. We do give what we call an in relation to opinion, that they are fairly stated in relation to the basic financial statements as a whole. And then we've also issued a report, which is in the very back of the bound report, on the city's internal control over financial reporting and on compliance with laws and regulations, contracts and grant agreements and so forth. And that report back there is a part of our audit as well. Flip to the very back if you want to see that report. It describes about internal control over financial reporting. It defines some things like deficiency, material weakness, and significant deficiencies. We consider internal control in order to plan the audit. We don't, not to give an opinion on it. However, if we, during the course of that planning and performance of the audit, if we identify significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we would report those to you. Given those limitations, we did not identify any that we consider to be material weaknesses. And then as to compliance and other matters, the results of our tests there disclose no instances of non-compliance or other matters that were required to report under government auditing standards. Jennifer, did I leave that separate report over there?
There's one.
Thanks, Patrick. There's a loose report from the bound copy, and that's our communication to those charged with governance. It talks about any significant findings that we have during the audit. Excuse me. On the first page, there's a couple of bullet points that talk about some significant estimates that are in your financials. One of those is the closure, post-closure care costs, and it tells about how we evaluate factors and assumptions that were used to develop that estimate, excuse me, to determine it's reasonable. And then the pension and OPEB liabilities are a big, huge estimate. We do evaluate the data that was used. We obtain reports from the state and the retirement system, the actuarial valuation, and an auditor's report on the allocations. And so we evaluate, excuse me, that data. We encountered no difficulties in performing the audit. We're required to report to you any corrected and uncorrected misstatements that we found to be material during the course of our audit. We did not find any material adjustments. However, there were a few reclassifications and some corrections, but management has made all those corrections on the city's books. We had no disagreements with management, and the only other matters to report are about the, we tell that we applied limited procedures to the management discussion analysis, budgetary information, and those pension and OPEB schedules. We just do inquiries, analytical, and we compare those, like I said, to the financial statements themselves. But we do not express an opinion or provide any assurance on that required supplementary. And again, it addresses the limitations are in relation to opinion on the excuse me, supplementary. So basically, that's it. That's my report. Good, clean opinion, and no material weaknesses to report, no non-compliance to report.
like to say something. I was very disappointed in that we could not find an evening suitable where everyone could be at attendance on the Finance Committee with Councilperson Lowry and I working during the day. I hope we can meet next year in the evening when everybody can be there. This is something that, like I said, I was very disappointed in. I do have a question. I just got the statements tonight, but on page 9, the third bullet point where it talks about $4,063,000 is available, and then on page 23, it shows the unassigned fund balance of $3,376,000. Can you reconcile those two? I know you don't audit the management discussion, but I know you apply some tests to it and look at the numbers.
Okay, let's see. Governmental funds. Unassigned fund balance, 3.3. I don't know what to tell you, Wendell, unless there's just that number in the MD&A didn't get changed, but.
If you want to
that
investigate
appears-
and let me know.
Absolutely, we
Okay.
will, absolutely. I don't, just at first glance, I'm like you, that seems like that should be the same number.
Can you state the figures and
Sure.
where you are on the book right now, please?
On page 9, the third bullet point talks about $4,063,000 is available for spending at the government's discretion, unassigned fund balance. But then if you look, that's in the management discussion, but if you look in the financial statements on page 23, you see fund balances down near the bottom. The unassigned fund balance is $3,376,000. So there's a difference of about $687,000.
About 687,140.
Yeah.
I see under general fund committed of.
Now, 686,993, I think is the difference.
That's pretty close to that committed number under general fund.
Belinda?
Yes, do you see something I'm not seeing?
140 is the fire truck.
I'm sorry.
The fire truck that they were committed, they had signed the paperwork for during the year, and it was before the year end. That was part of next year's budget.
Oh, so it was 4.063 until they made that, and that 600 got moved up to committed.
Committed, yes.
There's still a little bit of difference. I'll be happy to report next time what you tell me the difference is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure that out, and if there needs to be a change before these go mailed off
All right.
externally. Anything else?
Belinda, we didn't talk in the Finance Committee meeting, but what about the testing that you perform on the accounts receivable, accounts payable, and our leases? Our depreciation schedules, are those in line?
Are they in line?
Uh,
Well, we evaluate, the remaining lives is one of the procedures that we do. a lot of analytical. We do testing of additions if those are material and, you know, fall within our thresholds, you know, based on materiality at each opinion unit, fund level. And obviously compare the schedule amounts with the books, with what's recorded on the books.
So everything looked in line, there was no material issues there?
No,
Okay.
we
Thank you.
didn't have any material adjustments.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you for the presentation, and I assume that number is about $90-some difference, so I'm sure we'll find out what the difference is.
We'll do it.
Thank you.
We'll do it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
Next item on the agenda is an update. Oh, yeah. Do we need to approve the audit or wait till we get that $96?
I would prefer to read the audit before I approve it.
All right. Let's wait till we get that exact number, and then we'll approve or disapprove the audit. We'll table that to the next meeting. If that's okay with everybody. Nobody else has any objection. We'll wait till the next meeting and find out the difference in that, and then we'll approve it. Next item on the agenda is an update from April Russell regarding our TAP grant and where we're at on that.
I will start with our TAP grant number 1. TAP stands for Transportation Alternatives Programs. It's from Twyman Park to Gorham Park is where this particular path goes. It goes down from Twyman Park to Bunch Avenue, South Franklin Street, turns at East College Street. There will be a 10-foot wide bridge that will connect Bowen, connect East College Street to Bowen. Then we'll go down Bowen, Carnation, across East Main Street into Gorham Park. Some of it will be the 10-foot multi-use path. Some of it will be markings on the road for Share the Road. We'll also, like I said, have a 10-foot wide prefab bridge that connects the East College to Bowen. We'll be doing sidewalks, curb and gutter, and drainage in parts of the area throughout there. The plans have been approved. The right-of-way is complete, and the construction monies have been requested, and we plan to bid that in March of this year, so next month sometime is expected bidding and to get that under construction. Does anybody have any questions on the first one?
Is there a projected completion date on it?
I wouldn't dare guess with the
Okay.
completion. I'm gonna guess sometime in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they did get the federal stamp on that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The number 2 grant, the phase 2 that we're doing, goes from Bunch Avenue down Highway 249 on the Hero Center side, all the way to the to Trojan Trail. It crosses there, and then it goes all the way down Trojan Trail and ends at 31E. That one, the design has been completed. It doesn't have the state stamp on it yet. The archaeological has been completed. Right-of-way funds have been drawn down, so that means they're there and we can start that process now. I myself am doing the temporary consent and releases, so I've been contacting properties owners for the temporary right-of-ways that we need. I suspect maybe our goal will be to bid that out at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. Any questions?
And will that be also 10 feet wide?
It will be. It'll be a 10-foot wide multi-use path. We go between 8 and 10 feet,
Okay.
depending on if it what fits and things to that nature.
The surface would be asphalt?
Concrete or asphalt.
Okay. Okay.
It's once we bid it out, we get all the bids in, we look at that stuff, spec it out. Same thing with the bridges. It'll just depend on what comes in, and then we'll make selections then.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this any in-kind work involved in this section? Is it all bid out?
No, most all of this will be bid out. We've done some in-kind work. I've done some of the environmental on it. The water company and the electric plant board have both gave us where they're going to do some in-kind work for us. We have to have a water line moved. We have to have some poles moved. So both of those are doing some in-kind work on the first TAP grant. The second TAP grant, there's not gonna be a lot of in-kind unless it's me doing the environmental documents.
And just out of curiosity, you said go down on the Hero Center side
Uh-huh.
and then cross there at Trojan Trail.
Yes.
What was the reason not to start on I mean, that seems like a bad place to cross.
It is. We went through the process with the state. They looked at it. We've actually had the numbers run trying to get maybe a signal there also. The other side of the street, there just isn't room.
Okay.
It just, right away, there's just no room to put it. There's some pretty big cliffs into yards and things
Yeah.
like that. We'll wind up having quite a bit of signage there, you know, for
Right.
pedestrians and things like that, and hopefully we'll get a signal.
Got it.
There will be a link between Twyman Park and the Hero Center.
It'll
In some
go
way.
down Bunch Avenue
Right.
and then down 249. So yes, it'll connect down to the Hero Center just as it connects across to Gorham Park.
Okay.
So we'll keep our connections going until we get our circle all the way around.
Another answer to that question you had, Councilman Gomes. We were in a meeting with the Transportation Department, and we asked for there to be a third lane down there and the bridge to be widened by the standards, and they have that on their extended list, so it might not be immediate, but there's a real good chance that bridge will be widened. There'll be a third lane from there all the way up past the top of the hill, up about the other bridge.
Right.
That's what we've proposed and asked for help on.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, April, for the update. The other item, next item on the agenda was asked that Councilman Member Witcher give an update on the EPB board meeting that was, what, a week ago or whatever?
February the 19th, we met, and it was a special call because there wasn't enough people there to be in the regular February meeting. All members were present, Jeff Harnan, Tag Taylor, D.T. Frodes, Mark Biggers, and myself. And the first item of business was to elect new, a chairperson and a secretary. Mr. Frodes was elected chairman, and Tag Taylor was elected secretary. And let's see. And the first item of business, a bid on the air conditioning, which was about 50 years old. And they were four bids came in, anywhere from 59,000 down to 32,000. HVAC was awarded the bid of $32,266.61. And the next item, the superintendent presented a bulk internet bandwidth cost and rates, and it was reported that the wholesale cost had been decreased, and it was recommended that the rate would be reduced from 15 megabytes to down to $4 a megabyte. And that motion was made, and it was affirmed. And that was all the business that was carried on.
Was that from the last special call meeting or the meeting before? That was special, that was a special call
Yes,
meeting?
that was a special call meeting. Usually it's the fourth Tuesday night in the month, and it was anticipated there wouldn't be enough there, so they called it for the 19th.
Okay. All right. Next item of business is a municipal order reappointing D.T. Frodes, pro tunc to the Historic Preservation Committee.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number blank on order of the mayor, D.T. Frodes, nunc pro tunc, effective March 31st, 2018, is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee. This appointment shall be a 2-year term expiring March 31st, 2020, and is subject to the approval of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to accept this municipal order as read?
Motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Councilman Honeycutt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Witcher. All those approve of the municipal order as read signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Show it 11-1. Passes. The next municipal order is reappointing Greg Harris, Nuck to the Historic Preservation Committee.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number blank on order of the Mayor, Greg Harris, non-protunct, effective March 31st, 2018, is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee. This appointment shall be a 2-year term expiring March 31st, 2020, and is subject to the approval of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to accept this municipal order? Have one by
Second.
Councilman Gross and the second by Councilman Lowry. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes, the municipal order passes. The next municipal order is reappointing Jerry Ralston, Nuck to the Plaza Theater Advisory Board.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number blank on order of the Mayor, Jerry Ralston, non-protunct, is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Plaza Theater Advisory Board. This appointment shall be a 2-year term expiring January 31st, 2021, and is subject to approval of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I hear a motion to accept this municipal order as read? Have one from Councilman Norris.
Second.
From Councilman Benale. All those in favor of the municipal order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Order passes. The next order of business is municipal order reappointing Holly Alexander, non-protunct, to the Plaza Advisory Board.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number blank on order of the Mayor, Holly Alexander, non-protunct, is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Plaza Theater Advisory Board. This appointment shall be a 1-year term expiring January 31st, 2020, and is subject to the approval of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to accept this municipal order as read?
Motion.
Have a motion from Councilman Neal, a second. Second from Councilman Norman. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The order carries. The next order of business is a municipal order reappointing Summer Harper, non-protunct, to the Plaza Board Advisory.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number blank on order of the Mayor, Summer Harper, non-protunct, is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Plaza Theater Advisory Board. This appointment shall be a 1-year term expiring January 31st, 2020, and is subject to the approval of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to accept this municipal order as read?
Motion.
Have a motion from Councilman Kirkpatrick. Second.
Second.
Second from Councilman Benale. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next order of business is a municipal order reappointing Betty Herbert, non-protunct, to the Plaza Theater Advisory Board.
City of Glasgow Municipal Order Number blank on order of the Mayor, Betty Herbert, non-protunct, is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Plaza Theater Advisory Board. This appointment shall be a 1-year term expiring January 31st, 2020, and is subject to the approval of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion that we accept this municipal order as read? I have
Motion.
one from Councilman Norris and and a second by, who said second?
Second.
By Councilman Gross. All those in favor of that order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that disapprove, like sign. Order carries. Next item is an ordinance for the first reading, ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the rezoning of the property at the intersection of Lena Drive and Beverly Drive. And please read that ordinance, please.
City of Glasgow ordinance number 2019-blank, an ordinance amending Glasgow zoning ordinance rezoning property located at the intersection of Lena Drive and Beverly Drive and approximately 490 feet southwest from the Lena Drive and East Main Street intersection, containing 0.906 acres more or less from R1 and R2 to B2 classification. It appearing that, number one, W.F. McShane Jr., owner, and Roger Payne, applicant, have requested a zoning change for the property located at the intersection of Lena Drive and Beverly Drive and approximately 490 feet southwest from Lena Drive and East Main Street intersection, being 115 Beverly Drive, Glasgow, Kentucky, containing 0.906 acres more or less in the city of Glasgow, Kentucky, from R1 residential and B2 general business to B2 general business classification. A schematic drawing of said property subject to rezoning is attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference. Number two, a trial-type due process hearing concerning said proposed zoning change was held on January 22nd, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Joint City-County Planning and Zoning Commission, resulting in the recommendation by the Commission that the property hereinafter described be rezoned from R1 residential and B2 general business to B2 general business classification. Copies of the findings and recommendations of the Joint City-County Planning and Zoning Commission have been forwarded to the Glasgow City Council, which are hereby adopted by the Glasgow City Council and are attached to this ordinance as Exhibit B and incorporated herein by reference. Now therefore be it hereby ordained by the City of Glasgow as follows. Section number 1. The findings and recommendations of the Joint City-County Planning and Zoning Commission, copies of which are attached hereto as Exhibit B, are hereby approved in all respects. Section 2. The property located at the intersection of Lena Drive and Beverly Drive and approximately 490 feet southwest from Lena Drive and East Main Street intersection, being 115 Beverly Drive, Glasgow, Kentucky, containing 0.906 acres more or less, is rezoned from an R1 residential and B2 general business to B2 general business classification. The real property covered by this ordinance being more particularly described in Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference. Section 3. All future development of this property shall comply with the requirements of the Development Plan Ordinance adopted by the Glasgow City Council on December 30th, 1991. Section 4. This ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to accept this ordinance as read?
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Norris. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Witcher. All those approved,
Mayor,
signify.
Mayor, before we have the vote on that, could I ask a question?
Sure.
Of Mr. Mine? Kevin, I had just a couple of questions. Looking at that property, what type of buffer will be maintained between the residential area and this new garage that will be built there? What's going to be that requirement?
The requirement in that zoning ordinance with the B2 zoning, the landscape buffer minimum requirement, that section requires a 10-foot buffer of continuous fencing with slats in it for a minimum opacity rating of 80%, or shrubs or some type of trees that's continuous in one row.
Because when you look at the property today, there are there's some growth in that lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a buffer there between.
Part of that can be used towards it. Up to 10% of it can be used towards the landscape screening, if anything was to be constructed there.
Okay. And in the Exhibit C of that report, when you look at Exhibit C, by the color code of this, it shows some property on Beverly Drive classified as general business.
That's correct.
And to me, that looks like there's residential.
Commercial zoning allows for residential development within it.
Okay.
One of the reasons, and the main reason that that's set like that is, at some point from 1967, well, the first zoning ordinance was 1949, but at that time, in 1967, when the official zoning map was adopted, they did what was called corridor zoning, went down the street, and however many feet to one side was zoned this, and the other side was zoned that. But in the commercial zoning classification, it does allow for residential development, simply because typically the roadways and the infrastructure in a commercial zoning is much wider and much greater, so it can handle anticipated traffic volumes that may be there. So the density usage is sufficient for a residential development within a commercial zoning. If someone does develop in a zoning that is commercial, they have to adhere to that certain residential development requirements, though.
So the restrictions are on that then?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, okay. And no comments in the public meeting?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, sir.
Is there any other questions?
Is that the old TVA building used to be?
Oh, it's behind it.
No,
It's just behind it. It's the vacant lot that was a pole yard.
That's correct, yeah. Payne Packing Supply Company was just down from it.
Any other questions? No, they're the packing places. There's no other questions. Thank you, Mr. Myatt. We got a first and a second. We have a motion and a second. All those approve this zoning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose signify by like sign.
I abstain.
Abstain.
Yes.
Got 11 and Honeycutt abstains. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is a resolution committing to local share of funds necessary to secure a section 5307/5311 grant application.
City of Glasgow Resolution Number 2019-blank, a resolution committing the local share of funds necessary to secure a Section 5307-5311 grant application. Whereas the Glasgow Transit System is authorized by the City of Glasgow to apply for and accept grants of money to assist in the implementation of a transit system in Glasgow, Kentucky, and whereas the Glasgow Transit System has applied to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and the Federal Transit Administration of the United States Department of Transportation Act of 1964 in connection with the Section 5307-5311 project. And whereas the said Glasgow Transit System requires assistance of the Glasgow City Council relative to the commitment of the local share for the Section 5307-5311 projects, now therefore be it resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows. Number one, that the Glasgow City Council gives assurance that it is the intent of this body to commit its local share of the funds necessary to support this project to improve transit service in Glasgow, Kentucky for a minimum of 5 years from the inception of the project. Said local share of expenses is to be resolved from local funds. That the Glasgow City Council hereby gives assurance that it is the intent of this body to continue the operation of the transit service for a minimum of 5 years. Adopted by vote of the Glasgow City Council this blank day of blank 2019. Approved, Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I hear a motion to accept this resolution?
Motion.
Have a motion by Honeycutt. I have a second by Norman. Before we go any further, point of clarification. April, is that not what we do every 5 years for our bus system?
Yes, we actually do this every year.
Every year?
Yeah, the grant has to be reapplied for every year, and so every year we do this. It's a local share, but every year we promise the next 5 years.
That we'll
An
keep
agreement.
stand, please.
So
Okay.
what kind of funds are we talking about? Just a general,
This is something we do every year, it's budgeted money. So it's everything from, the equipment, the buses, the maintenance, the fuel, salaries of the bus drivers, all of the above, and it's budgeted money. So we budget our half, and then the state and federal, it's actually a grant that passes through the state from the federal agency, and they give us the other half. The operations portion of it is 50/50, the administration part of it is 80/20. Maybe it's getting backwards, I have to look at it to make sure, but one of them's 50/50, one of them's 80/20. I think operations is 50/50. So the administration would be your transit manager and all of her fringe benefits.
If I could ask a question, Bob. April, what's the usage are we seeing on the transit system now? And then what?
Rides per year.
Rides per year, is that increasing, decreasing?
It increases every year. We're
Okay.
anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000.
Yeah, good. Any restrictions on us relating to the usage of the bus system? What?
We are a fixed deviated route, so we can go up to 3/4 of a mile from our bus stops.
Okay.
If we have to, they have to fill out a form for a disability for us not, because if we continue to go away from our bus stops, we become a taxi, and we can't do that.
Okay, right.
The bus
Okay.
is federal monies that's bought, used for this program, so the bus can only be used without special permission for our bus route. We keep our transit building locked up, things of that nature.
Any other questions? Call for a vote. All those that approve this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Resolution passes. Resolution to make a application for a grant to purchase 10 sections of 5-inch fire hose with storage couplings.
City of Glasgow Resolution Number blank, a resolution for the City of Glasgow to make application for a grant to purchase 10 sections of 5-inch fire hose with storage couplings administered by the Firefighters Support Foundation. Be it resolved that the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that April Russell, grant writer for the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to make application on behalf of the city for a grant in the amount of $6,465.91 administered through the Firefighters Support Foundation, which will be used by the Glasgow Fire Department if received for the purpose of purchasing 10 sections of 5-inch fire hose with storage couplings. This grant has no match. Be it further resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary in order to make application for said grant. So adopted this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
I hear a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Gross and a second by Councilman Benel. All those that approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The resolution passes. Have another resolution to make application for a grant for 15 Global Classics SE jackets and 15 Global Classic SE pants administered by the Firehouse Public Safety Foundation.
City of Glasgow Resolution Number blank, a resolution for the City of Glasgow to make application for a grant for 15 Globe Classics SE jackets and 15 Globe Classics SE pants administered by the Firehouse Subs Public Policy Foundation Fund. Be it hereby resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that April Russell, grant writer for the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to make application on behalf of the city for a grant in the amount of $25,500 administered through the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation Fund, which will be used by the Glasgow Fire Department if received for the purpose of purchasing 15 Globe Classics SE jackets and 15 Globe Classics SE pants. This grant has no match. Be it further resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary in order to make application for said grant. So adopted this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I hear a motion to accept this resolution as read?
Motion.
I have a motion through Councilman Kirkpatrick and a second
Second.
through Councilman Norman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Resolution passes. Next item, to give all the council an update, the Glasgow-Barron County idea for the last many years has been funded the same amount through the city as the county, but because of some extra costs we're going to be introducing to bring more industry, more employers here, the county they have upped theirs this year, and they've already got that through theirs. We're going to propose a ordinance that we raise ours this year and have a joint city-county working relationship. The only thing that'll change, other than the money will be greater, is that we're going to put a restriction on the way that money can be spent. It's for projects, not for any advertisement or any outside salaries or anything of that nature. It'll be strictly for the projects that come into Barron County. But we'll give you that in basically the next meeting, because that hadn't all got together. We're running behind the county. They got theirs done the last meeting, but we haven't gotten it all proposed or set up as a budget item for this next budget yet. So just want to make you be aware that we will be following in the same footsteps with your approval as the county has already done. And we'll be back at the next meeting with those exact terms and conditions for your approval or disapproval. The next item on the agenda, we have an overview from Council Member Terry Bunnell on the strategic planning for the city of Glasgow.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to recommend to the mayor and to this council the establishment of a committee to begin the process of a strategic plan for Glasgow. The committee initially would work with the Kentucky League of Cities to discuss the process and the various types of strategic plans offered by the Kentucky League of Cities. The overall objective of the plan, is you would know from any strategic plan, is to lay out goals and recommendations intended to guide the city leaders of Glasgow and the community volunteers. What can we do to improve the quality of life in Glasgow? This is a plan that would be in place for 3 to 5 years. Been several cities in our area that have done this planning with the Kentucky League of Cities. Campbellsville has gone through this process. London, Kentucky's gone through the process, and Prestonsburg. The plan would help us as a guide for us as we grow and we develop. Now, the city of Glasgow is a part of the comprehensive plan for the county of Barron. However, that's the county plan. And what I would recommend to this council and to our mayor is establish this committee to look at Glasgow. What are our objectives? What are our plans? What's our growth going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years? As we look at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. And I would move in this discussion tonight how we can take this initiative forward and how that we can make plans as we look out in the next 3 to 5 years what this community is going to look like. What's the citizens of Glasgow want Glasgow to be as we get ready for our future. So I'd like to move forward with this initiative in any manner that we should, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Bunnell. Any of you that has been to the last 2 years to the KLC, that's one of the things that's been on their agenda, their program, to help promote the city. And I think it's very important that we look to the future. And Councilman Bunnell, since you have went through already the groundwork of presenting this, I would ask, would you be interested in chairing this committee?
Sure. Yes.
Would there anybody else be here in this room tonight on the council that would be willing to serve on that committee? Patrick, Honeycutt,
I'll serve if you take one.
Gaunce, Neal, Eubank, Norman. Looks like we're gonna have enough work to spread across a bunch of you. So I think this is something y'all can get together and set up your meeting times and dates and position. And there's a lot of, I'm sure you have it, and there's a lot of it out there, information about this through KLC. And I'd like to see this committee get very active and proceed with that will.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to do an order, so we'll fix that order for the next session.
Yep. It can be an executive order, correct?
If the council does it, it's municipal order.
Municipal order.
I'll fix one.
Okay.
I'll bring it to the next meeting.
Can we meet on that kind of stuff without violating any kind of, I mean, we got more than half the people, I mean, does that constitute any kind of a meeting as far as meeting with?
It'll be an open meeting with that committee, just like it is the others.
Okay, so it'll just be, all right.
You'll announce your agenda and everybody will get a chance to come that wants to
Yeah.
come.
Got it.
And it'll be
Meeting.
public, unless you've got something that's, you may have to go into closed session sometime along the line if it's imperative about property you're looking at or something like that. But it'll be all within the open, meetings agenda.
Hey, I know you get tired of hearing me, but can I suspend the rules?
Pardon me?
What's your basis for suspending?
My basis would be more to, and I know Mr. Witcher's report, but one of the things that I heard loud and clear at the EPB was that they wanted us to at least do some history or groundwork. And I think that, this is my opinion, you're the council, Mr. Basil, but I think that we as a council should do a due process hearing on Mr. Froge. And I think that he violated malfeasance through the 2 emails that I'm sure everybody's got from Melinda. And I know in March, that's gonna be, I guess, vetted out with the electric plant board. But we as a city council, they've reached out, 2 of the board members at the EPB reached out to us to at least take a look into it. Not that we got the grounds to do anything. The other thing, I think that he created misfeasance by trying to remove the superintendent without one of the 4 reasons that the superintendent of the little TVA Act can be removed.
I think we have to vote on suspending the rules.
Okay.
Well, he's asked what my opinion is, and
Oh, okay.
I think I need to tell you.
Okay.
Number one, as far as the open meetings violation is concerned, we're not the one that decide whether that happens. The electric plant board has to have a determination within the plant board whether that happened, and then the complainant can appeal that to a higher authority. No, they can appeal that to a higher authority if they're not satisfied with the plant board's determination. That's not our bailiwick. If you want to use that for something, you have to wait till it's done before you can use it. You can't assume that they're going to find a violation until they found one.
Okay.
So you can't use that as a basis for anything. Now, in regards to
The misfeasance of
you
trying-
had those same grounds when we had our last meeting, I think, and it was voted down. Unless you have some new grounds, I don't think it'd be appropriate to bring it up now.
My only difference in the reason I asked him was because it was public at that point. I mean, last meeting, I was premature because it really hadn't come out publicly. But it's on tape now that he tried to fire the superintendent without going through one of the 4 reasons. And my belief is that's misfeasance. If you tell me it's not, then I will be quiet and move on.
Well, it wouldn't be misfeasance unless you found that it was and then a higher court sustained you. We can't say that it is or it is not right now. If you want to, if this council wants to have a hearing and you have allegations that you want to bring forth, you have to bring those forth and then have a motion before this body to resolve to remove him for those reasons. then he has to be given those reasons and have an opportunity to have a due process hearing where he can dispute those and provide his proof. And this is a process, as we learned 2 years ago, that will take a few months to get done. Now, my suggestion would be is that less than a quorum of you might see if you've got enough support to have a motion to that effect and bring it up at the next meeting.
Okay.
Because the next meeting will happen before the next board meeting even. But
The UPB meeting will happen before ours, or?
I think yours will happen before it does.
Okay.
And
That's Tuesday of each month.
Is that, is the, okay.
you're the boss, you can ask anything
I'd
you
like
want
to
to.
make one statement before we go any further, and then you can do whatever's legal.
Okay.
But my understanding is that the attorney for the electric plant board has stated that these things will be ironed out their next meeting under their supervision, not anybody else's.
Okay.
Unless, if I'm wrong on that, but that's the information I got.
Okay.
That Herbert, who is the counsel for the electric plant board, said that they would address these items in their next meeting, and they would find a remedy to suit the complainant.
Got it, okay.
Okay?
Thank you, yes.
Let me take it just a step
Go ahead,
further.
go ahead.
And Patrick, in regard to having a hearing to remove a board member, if you make a motion to remove the board member, you need to state what grounds, and it has to be voted on by this group to establish that there will be a hearing scheduled at some time in the future on those issues.
Right.
And it might be prudent to wait until you see what happens at the electric plant board meeting on the 26th.
And I wasn't trying to remove him, I was making a motion to have a hearing, and that's what I felt like that,
The only hearings you have is to remove.
not even a due process.
That is a due process hearing.
Okay.
Due
All right.
process means that you get to hear the allegations against you. You get to provide your witnesses and have an opportunity to defend yourself, and that you have a fair opportunity to be heard. That's the hallmarks of a due process hearing.
Got it.
And that's what you have to do when you're gonna remove someone from a position like that. So your
Okay.
motion would be to remove.
I'm just waiting to see what happens at the electric plant board meeting.
You make the motion to have a hearing to remove, and you state your basis.
Got it. Okay.
And then if this body approves, then
Move forward.
you move forward and give them an opportunity to prepare their case and have a hearing
Fair enough.
before this body.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Sir, if I could ask one question related to this same item. Is there any way we as a city council, our representative is Mr. Witcher, and if we could have him come back to us with a little bit more detailed as far as how this next meeting flows and have they resolved some of the issues? Because we believe that there were issues or motions that were left on the table.
Councilman Trigg,
Yes,
if
sir.
you want to know it for a fact, you can go to these meetings.
I was at the last meeting. sir.
Okay.
All right.
So
And
you know what happened.
I know what happened at the last meeting, and my concern would be that the meeting didn't run the right way, and there were issues that I believe were left unresolved. So if we could get a report back from our representative, which would be Mr. Witcher, come back to the board after they resolve, like you said, clean up their meeting act. So how do we do that?
You would have to ask Mr. Witcher if he minds doing that. If he says he does mind, then you can go to the meeting and find out for yourself.
I don't care.
He said he'll report back to you.
All right.
Okay? To get on a positive note, on announcements, the elevator has been redone. They have a inspection plan for this Friday through the state. If all goes well, our elevator will be working, and we can thank the fiscal court for letting us use this for the last 2 months, and we will be back at our home base next meeting. And according to the workman today, he stated that he'd got the sprinkler system put in the top of the elevator draw, and he's got the fire alarms working. It's calibrated, so unless there's something they've overlooked, then the inspector should approve it this Friday, and we should be able to get back and get in our own seats. And if that happens, then we'll publicize it immediately Friday following the inspection, and we'll be back over there where we can see each person that we're trying to talk to. And I do appreciate the fiscal court allowing us to meet here. I know it's been an inconvenience for them, but in order for us to do our work like we should and have the open meetings law like it needs to be, we're over here and we've complied. So if there's any other announcements
Mayor, are they charging us anything
for doing the repair?
for meeting here?
No, you know, they said that was just their workings with the city, and we hope that we would return the favor if they needed it. And we have let them be over there before, so it's just another working relationship that's been good for everybody.
Little humor doesn't hurt anything.
No, it helps a whole lot. If there's
Also,
no other
Mayor-
announcements,
Also, if any of the council has not stopped by the new water company on Main Street, I highly encourage it. It is amazing. It's nice. The employees are over the edge about it. So much space. And I just encourage you all to go over there and look through it.
Can I say something? Sure. When you look at that facility, you might wonder how we can have a facility that nice for our water company. And it works like this. If we had tried to build a building less than half that size that was a metal building with none of the amenities that's in that building, it would have cost just as much to build one for less than half that size for a metal building. The buy that the city, the water company was able to get there is incredible. You're encouraged to go over there and take a look at it. It's one of the nicest facilities at the lowest possible cost you could ever imagine for a facility like that. So everybody gained in that situation. It's just tremendous. And all of the adaptations from the signs to everything that was done in the drive-through was done by water company personnel, a lot of it on their own time. And they worked in the evenings and on the weekends to get that up to speed. And if I'm thinking correctly, they have a security system with doors there that have automatic locks, and you have to have a key to go from one area to another. They installed all those themselves at a cost of about $75 a lock, and the cost to have it done commercially were about $3,000.
Blessing. And like you said, you need to go and walk through it. They'll give you a tour. And it really is nice, and we're fortunate to have people who work for the water company want to spend their own time to upgrade it. And we don't have an empty building down there anymore, so they filled it up.
Win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody. If there's no other announcements, I'll entertain